All my life, I have been fascinated with the messengers, the watchers, the observers, the angels. In Hebrew, they would be known as Maliks. And then deriving from Greek, they would be called Angelos. Now, all of them are essentially spirits, but they all hold different offices. And once they take the title as messenger, or caretaker, or observer, or watcher, this is an office for the spirits, usually the messengers, and we know them today as angels. Now, there's so many different stories of the angels because, of course, the angels came before us in the lower density of the third dimension. Now, in some cases, we could be the offspring of the angels because there was a merge. Some might say it was very forbidden. There's evidence of it in the 19th dynasty of the Kemetic rule of Akhenaten. As you can see that there was a big difference and change in the phenotypes of the beings at that time, especially during the 19th dynasty. A lot of the art would also show evidence in the stature and the architecture throughout history. Now, of course, through biblical history, we would know of a popular giant, Goliath, that Dawood or David would battle with. But all throughout the biblical text, we have known of angels, and even outside of the biblical text, as far as the Quran, where it says that the angels are made of light. And I would also add air. And through that, they are beings that prior to us were the different drones, principalities, the archangels, many popular ones as far as Michael and Uriel and Raphael. And one of the most famous would be that of Jabril or Gabriel. These are the messengers of the source. And they all have many attributes, but the ones that were known as the watchers at the time, because there are two known falls. This one would probably be around the time of the 19th dynasty that I mentioned, when there was a case that 200 observers or watchers they were assigned to watch the caretakers, observers of the newly created beings. But as they watched closely, they seemed to love the daughters of these new beings called humans, and they fell in love with them. And through that, they broke rules and made what was called forbidden fruit, if you put two and two together, like with Eve and the serpent. And then through this union, it states in Genesis 6 where the sons of gods, because it's plural gods, the sons of gods, made it with the daughters of men. And then this is where we have different creations of what we call titans and giants, men to be 36 feet high, and some even 400 feet high, the size of the Statue of Liberty. But this was the case, and this took place. So, of course, just like with anything, it starts off embryonic, small, going through the trimesters. But at some point, this connection between the daughters of men and the sons of the gods, we got things that weren't so human, that in some cases they say a flood had to take place. Now when we get back to Enoch, who also became Metatron, one of the first that I've ever known to evolve into an angelic being, because he was taken to all levels of heaven, to where he met all types of angels, from the ones with many wings and many eyes, to the drones, to the many different ones. So Enoch had a lot of position, to where there were books that were taken out by the councils because his writings were so controversial, and he was the grandson of Noah of Noah's Ark. So that's very interesting. Now, what many don't know is that during the time of the fall of the angels, many of these angels also did not only deal with women, but they dealt with the beast of Gaia. So when I'm talking about the beast of Gaia, we're talking about eagles. We're talking about fish, dolphins. And of course, this is where we got sirens and chimeras or shamaras And of course, a lot of them, if I'm not mistaken, the cherubim were associated with flaming fire serpents. So some of these beings were known to be connected to dragons. Some of these, and so when we do our deep research, let's know that there's a thin line between dragon association and angelic beings. Because remember, these are spiritual beings that take office and get labeled. So angel could just be messenger for many different types of beings, because there was a lot of different intermingling. This is where we get centaurs and gorgons and gargoyles and Sasquatch and dogman. If you pay attention to Anubis, he had a jackal-like head, you know, and then some of the dogman and rougarou sightings and wolfman sightings also are humanoid-like dog canine species. Then the centaurs. So the angels were getting busy. They raped everything. And to this, we have offspring to this day. And throughout years, there's remnants of all these different beings that took place. But there was a census complied during the Middle Ages that a certain cardinal took right, and it was written that there was almost 500,000 at that time documented angelic experiences that taken place throughout the Bible. We also know that Samson, before Mary and Joseph, Samson's parents, the one who had the strength of 100 men, who took the jawbone of an ass, was known for having angelic strength. And the term genius means angelic thinking. Genius, of that of a genius, and the word jinn. So a lot of things are associated with the merge of angel and human being. And the fallen angels have a lot to do with our lives. Rather you call it alien abduction or fallen angels sleeping with the daughters of men. All of it is the result of hybrids that are walking the earth to this day. And we may very well be the hybrids that we're reading about all the time. We could be offsprings of the fallen. And I think that it's a big possibility that that's the case. So when you look at the angels, they are nothing but messengers. When you look at Yeshua, when you look at John the Baptist and the way the government put out hits on them, this is an angelic bloodline when we're talking about the Davidic bloodline. The bloodline of all of these great men of renown, rather it be Enki and Leo, rather it be Akhenaten, King Tut, Cleopatra's offspring, also known, as I said in the other film, as Prophet or Saint Isa. So there is many merges of different things. Elijah was also taken up into the heavens. And then in a lot of documents of the angelic bloodline, this is why Yeshua was not even to die. And John the Baptist and a lot of them, the Machiavellian deaths that took place where they faked their death, a lot of covert. Nobody was honest with their enemies in the ancient times. That's only now. So we are definitely in captivity. A lot of us are walking around with angelic blood and we're not even aware of it. But this is what's taking place. And that census was taken in the Middle Ages. So imagine now how many hybrids are walking around with angelic blood to this day. So I would like to say that. Now, the papacy, when it came into play around 700 AD or 300 AD, let's say, they took the female out of a lot of this. So Isis, the children of Isis, Mary Magdalene, different female characters. The papacy didn't want the women to have anything. I don't know why they were hidden, but the angels or the fallen or the watchers thought the women important enough because they came and they wanted those women, and it started a war in heaven. So it's something about the woman that's very sacred, and definitely this is why we have less matriarch systems and majority patriarch systems in religion. So from a spiritual aspect, we know that the jinn, who were made out of smokeless fire, also existed. And we will be talking about that next in part 2, as far as the spirits that became angels, the Maliks in Hebrew. Ancient Nine Mystery School, Saint Germain.